All righty, it is 7 o'clock on Wednesday, April 8th. We will go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Kalamazoo City Planning Commission. Could we get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Curtis, or Secretary Curtis. Audette-Bauman?
Here.
Bissonnette?
Here.
Curtis?
Here.
Duncan?
Here.
Kostreva?
Here.
Sandoval?
Here.
Vyas?
Here.
Tolber? And Wilson.
Here. All right, wonderful. Congratulations and welcome to all of our new faces. It's good to have a replenished board. We received meeting minutes of our previous meeting. Are there any amendments or changes to the minutes? All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Perfect. With a motion to approve and a second, all in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Wonderful. Meeting minutes approved. And since I'm still acting as secretary, we'll go ahead and sign those as well now that they are approved. All right, going on to communications and announcements. We have to do election of officers, chair, vice chair, and secretary now that we have a new board and our previous chair and vice chair have termed off. Bobby, did you want to give a quick summary of the roles for the board?
Yep, so there's three officers on the Planning Commission: the chairperson, the vice chairperson, and the secretary. The chairperson presides the meetings in the commission, calls special meetings in accordance with the bylaws, follows up that actions are taken properly by the commission, appoints subcommittees, and signs documents for the commission as needed. Largely, chairs and runs the meeting. The vice chairperson's duties are, in the absence, disability, or disqualification of the chairperson, the vice chairperson shall serve the duties of the chair. And then the secretary is to review, present, and keep the final meeting minutes for the commission. That is obviously done in conjunction with support staff of the planning division, and coordinate on agendas and to sign the minutes of the planning commission. And in the event of the absence of the chair and vice chair, to serve as chairperson of the planning commission.
Wonderful. So at this time, we will be taking nominations for any of the three roles. If you would like to throw your hat in the ring to serve as any of the roles, you are more than welcome to. We can nominate, I believe, a panel all at once and then vote to approve them, or we could do it individually. But anyone want to get the ball rolling?
I will get the ball rolling. I'd like to nominate Michelle Curtis as chair. I need a second.
Is that a second?
Okay.
Do we want to vote for an entire panel or vote one at a time for the members?
Well, just a little observation. We haven't run a slate. I don't know what the history of this board is in running slates versus just individual. I don't know if it matters at all.
I don't think it matters. I believe it's been individually, but
sure.
Yeah. Other times I've seen drawing of hats on votes, so sure. From names. So
it looks like City Attorney Bear has something to say on that.
If as the nominator here.
Oh, it can be done either way.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Right, thanks.
And it's historically what we've done. It's kind of the preference of the board. If you prefer to take it individually, you can, or you can vote as slate.
Yeah, given that we're doing this right now,
candidates, maybe that's
my preference would be to do it individually, starting right now.
Perfect. All right. In that case, let's probably take a roll call vote for the nomination of myself as chair going forward.
We should call. We should call see if there's other nominations for your.
I suppose. Is there any other? There has been a motion and a second, so I do think we need to have a vote on it. But is there any other nominations or objections to myself as chair at this time? Wonderful. Then we can have a roll call vote.
Yeah.
We prefer roll call. A voice vote works just the same, but we can
Okay, we'll do a voice vote then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mitchell, you're in.
All right, wonderful. I'm already in the chair. Going forward, any other nominations or submittals for vice chair, secretary? Don't everybody jump up at once.
Well, does anyone want it? I'm a big fan of people wanting these roles.
I'm happy to serve in either of the remaining 2 roles. I have no strong feelings about it, though.
I also will serve as I'll take vice chair.
All right.
I put myself forward.
I would nominate myself, Commissioner Bissonnette, as vice chair.
I think that's allowed. Who knows? Would you like to serve as secretary then?
Sure, I'm happy to serve as secretary.
All right, so can we get a motion to nominate and second one of them, whoever it may, you nominate yourself, can we get a second for Roland as vice chair?
I'll second that.
Perfect. All right. Any objections, speak now or hold your peace. We can do a go-ahead voice vote on Roland as vice chair. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, Roland, congratulations. You are the new vice chair. Can I get a nomination for Michelle to be the secretary?
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. All right, voice vote for Michelle Audette-Bauman to serve as secretary. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Wonderful, congratulations to you as well. Thank you both for stepping up to the plate, and you'll get the central seats next time. All right, with that, I believe we are ready to move along to public hearings. First public hearing is a special use permit request to operate transitional residences at the dwellings in the duplex at 915 Washington Avenue. Does city staff have a presentation?
Yes, we do. One item I was going to put in communications announcement. I didn't have any, but I did think of one. This year, the National Planning Conference is in Detroit, and Christina Anderson and I will be attending. Christina is the president of the MAP Association Board, so that's a little exciting to have our local state president and city planner at the meeting, and I'm looking forward to the national conference in Detroit and Michigan. No session proposals accepted for the city of Kalamazoo, but we're looking to learn a lot and bring a lot back. Oh, good, there it is. I don't know why it's not up there. There we go. Even this is different than other times. All right, thank you for that delay. So the first special use permit request in front of you is 915 Washington Avenue. That's a photo of the site there, and the second item is next door to this property, and we will cover that one in the next request. So for the request here, the property and the applicant is helping other people exceed through navigation. The Gwendolyn Hooker, the person who is sorry Gwendolyn, I don't know your title, the leader, the CEO of the nonprofit, purchased a property to secure housing and housing options as part of their larger program. Some people may be aware of the Tiny Houses of Hope project at North and Westnedge, and there's some other housing opportunities that they fulfill for people in need in the city limits and elsewhere in the county. This is a property that was already certified as a duplex by the housing department. It holds a valid rental certificate until 2027, and those get renewed by some annual basis. So I wanted to inform the commission and the public that this is an existing dwelling that has its proper certifications already. And for this one, because it is a duplex, each unit is being requested to be operated as a transitional residence. And the intent is for houseless families to occupy each of those units, or some other situations, it would be unrelated adults to a bedroom. And that is what the zoning covers. For background housing and occupancy, there's other restrictions and things on there. The need looking to be served by this, as put in the staff report, was looking to get houseless individuals into housing quickly in the coldest weather. So Kalamazoo, like much of the nation, we have a houselessness crisis, and we only have so many available beds. And this is a part of a project that Hope is looking to be able to have home-like dwelling units ready for people in need. And then into the zoning ordinance, you know, people living in buildings, there's different classifications. And I put the definition of a transitional residence in that this use closely aligns with that, being able to provide short-term or interim housing for people who do not have immediate housing needs. And I believe it also mentions with support of services, and in this case, the service provider owns the property and operates it. That's some background on there. So with that request, here's the aerial of the photo. You can see it on Washington Street there. That's Portage on the left side of the screen there. That's the Washington Square area. And it's a larger lot on the north side of Washington Street there between Race and Portage. This is the zoning map, and I want to highlight on the zoning map, you know, at the previous meeting we talked about transition areas, and you can see the residential zone with the live-work zones going to the west. And then RM15 in the more residential sections take off to the east and north, and that green towards the bottom there is a node, a duplex zone district. And then the hash lines is the node district. To get an idea, we've got an assemblage of different zones here which permit different things. And then here is the future land use map, where largely that's the future land use map is, this is an area where that zoning updates have already been completed. Just a little thing, you can kind of notice those on the zoning map, those are live work, RM on the zone, but live work permits commercial and residential. So there again is the photo of the property. It doesn't have it, you can't see it here good. Funny enough, you can see it on the next one. My photo's better. There is another staircase leading to a second unit, second level entrance, which serves as the second entrance to the duplex. So with that background, I will read into a record the decision criteria that staff is provide as part of it. So the first one is that the proposed special use is appropriate for the location and compatible with the surrounding land uses. Yes, the first block of Washington here, east of Portage, is Zone Live Work 1, adjacent to this property on Portage Street. This part of the block includes a mixture of uses and non-residential buildings such as the Edison Neighborhood Association, a neighborhood bar, and a store, with some residential buildings to the east and north. The RM15 zone extends north and the east, marking a physical change to the more residential setting of the street going east. The special use permit considers the impacts on this and the surrounding properties. The RM15 zone district with no occupancy limit and varied residential housing types anticipates a variety of residential uses, including more intensive uses. The scale and location of the duplex with yards and sidewalks provides for a residential setting in which to provide the transitional home for its residents. Between the intensity of the live work zone district to the west and the surrounding RM15 zone district, the existing use demonstrates the higher impact uses to be anticipated or considered for special use. This use strikes a balance of availability to services and anticipated scale of occupancy and use in a residential neighborhood that exists at this neighborhood that this use exists into. Sorry for that mix up. Number two, the proposed use complies with the use standards of the zoning ordinance. There are no use standards for a transitional residence in the Appendix A zoning ordinance. The location design of the proposed is designed to minimize the adverse impacts on adjacent land uses by avoiding significant impacts on surrounding land uses regarding service delivery, parking and loading, odor, noise, glare, and vibration, and does not create a nuisance. Retaining to the greatest extent possible the natural features of the landscape where they provide a barrier or buffer between the special land uses and adjoining lands. And locating building structures and entryways to minimize impacts. And fourth, to provide appropriate screening, fencing, landscaping, and setbacks. The dwellings at over a century old, and the property has established landscaping, fencing, and improvements. There's mature trees on the property and shrubs along the frontage. The appearance and layout of the property maintains its residential character and matches the other dwellings and homes around it. The existing building is placed centrally on the lot with the garage in the rear. There's an existing privacy fence that's to the rear, and residents have access to use the yard. There's multi-unit homes to the east and some residential uses in that direction. The existing homes operated as a transitional residence maintain the residential character of the street. There is a driveway, an existing driveway, and on-street parking which provides vehicular parking with no minimum parking requirement. And there is no minimum parking requirement. The parking spaces align with the code requirements. For residents without vehicles, there is an existing sidewalk and a bus stop 1 block down at Portage Street, which provides access to transit for pedestrians. The proposed special use minimizes environmental impacts and conforms to all environmental protection standards of this ordinance. The home does not have chemical or environmental impacts beyond those of a house. Garage fluids and cleaners in residential quantities are all that are on site. And number 5, that there is adequate road capacity available to serve the proposed special use. There is adequate capacity along Washington Street and the north-south access to Race Street and Portage Street on either side of the block. Washington Avenue is a paved road with sidewalks on both sides. On-street parking is provided, and there is even a speed hump nearby to slow down traffic. The proposed special use is designed to ensure safe ingress and egress onto the site and safe road conditions around the site. There's a driveway of aged concrete on the west side of the home, which leads to a 1-car garage. There is one street parking space on Washington, and as a residential duplex, there is access for vehicles, and the sidewalk network ensures access for pedestrians to the duplex. Number 7, that there is adequate potable water, wastewater, solid waste, police, fire, EMS facilities served to protect the special use. There is adequate water, wastewater, solid waste, park, police, fire, and EMS facilities to serve the special use. Obviously, the house has utilities, and the public safety station down on Bryant is just down the road on Race Street. That the proposed special use is designed so that adequate access onto the site can be provided for fire, police, and EMS. There is a driveway and no front fencing preventing access to the duplex. The road is wide enough to accommodate responding fire trucks, and a new fire hydrant is located next door providing water access. That the proposed special use complies with all the appropriate standards of Chapter 6, general development standards, and there are no development standards for this use. The proposed special use, number 10, criteria is that the special use complies with all the standards imposed on it by all other applicable provisions of this ordinance for use, layout, and general development characteristics. And the proposed special use does comply with the standards imposed by all other practical provisions of this ordinance. An existing dwelling with features, fences, driveways, and landscaping similar to duplex provides a housing choice in a non-institutional setting with the support in place by Hope Through Navigation to assist the needs of residents who occupy this transitional residence. And based off of that information, it's recommended by staff that the Planning Commission approve the special use at 915 Washington Avenue. And then also with us, the applicant Gwendolyn Hooker is here, and she can speak to the request as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I appreciate Mr. Durkee and he did probably way better than what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the wins. This ideal really came to fruition on a request from the Kalamazoo County Commission for us to establish some family shelters for emergency situations during inclement weather, which is why we were approached to support and request this special use permit. In doing so, we requested this permit back in January. We knew that it was at the height of winter. We had we had one of the roughest winters we've seen in Michigan in a minute. So I was happy to take on the challenge. And my staff is here. I would like to say a lot of the Hope to Navigation staff that do operate our running daily operations are present. But some of the successes specifically for this house, I don't know if Bobby, if he spoke to the fact that we were allowed to operate this home, and some of the successes that stemmed, which really created our feeling that we really, that this was really a needed project. So we asked a couple of the residents to provide some just to provide their feedback specifically to what we did. And this is one, they did give permission for us to use their name. Her name is Alicia Johnson, and she came to us with 2 young children living in a situation that was not permitted or inhabitable for human habitation. Excuse me. And this is what she says. She says, while staying there, I was able to find a job, look for housing, and also save money. The staff were very amazing and very helpful. Each day we were provided breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we were even provided unlimited hygiene products and everything we needed, plus more on top of several recommendations to housing and job opportunities. That speaks to our wraparound services that Hope to Navigation provides. They also helped me with laundry and Lyft ride to my appointments. I really appreciate the Hope House, and being able to stay there made me feel at home. Very thankful, signed Alicia Johnson. Respectively, she ended up getting a housing choice voucher. This was a collaboration with the county, the Continuum of Care, and Housing Resource. And so collectively, we were able to support her. She got a job at Ministry of Community, which is also one of our partners. She has that housing choice voucher, so she is transitioned to a temporary situation until the county opens up their family housing. But she is well on her way. She's a very ambitious, motivated single mom, and she's doing all of the things, checking all the boxes to be able to get to her next stage. And so we were super grateful to be able to help her. I'm not sure if this is where the questions come in or if you have any questions, but I will save my other person for the other house just to kind of consolidate on time. But thank you so much for the opportunity and the consideration.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for city staff or the applicant at this time?
I have a question both for city staff and our applicant. So it's clear what transition means, and we want that to happen. When the staff is considering this kind of case and kindred cases, what does short-term mean, especially with the goal being transition to permanent housing? So, yeah, is there any sense that there's an enforceable time period to what short-term mean, or is it strictly vague and aspirational?
I'll cover that one.
Yeah.
Consider the transitional use means there really is no time. It could be short or anything. Okay. Now, in typical, the zoning code and our housing occupancy types do differentiate between 30 days and less is considered short-term. Right. Anything greater than 30 days is considered not short-term. So that's number of units, or is that a short-term rental dwelling unit, or is that a dwelling unit occupied by someone long-term? So 30 days is that. Now this, by definition, transitional residence is anticipating people that are in need of interim housing arrangements. And then I would say, this particular applicant and the population being served, there's not assumed by the code or myself as administrator or planner of the code. I would view the approval allowing any amount of transition, particularly given the population that is looking to be served and housed.
It may be just a semantic observation on my part, but I'm wondering why we even use the word short-term and instead just use the word transitional then.
Was there a spot where I used short-term or?
Yeah, it does. It says early on there, it says short-term in the initial summary.
And that's a good point. It's like one of those lexicon words, like the zoning. If you come and talk to this planning office about an Airbnb, how that gets administered is a very technical, different way, but you can still do it. And we have a lot of different housing types in the city of Kalamazoo and a robust zoning code that has many housing types. So I think that's me just saying short-term broadly instead of a short-term as in less than 30 days by the zoning code.
Yeah. Understood, and I would see that as a good thing.
Yeah, and which usually if me, people might think I'm being the clinical term, so I get
Well,
it.
yeah, because short-term has a, an understanding, especially with the whole short-term rental world. But this is a different idea, and maybe should have some different language to it.
Yeah. And just to add to that point, so we do operate a reentry transitional home, which is by virtue of, it's still a transitional home, and people currently can stay there up to 12 months. And then from there, it's an individualized basis. And so based on the current housing crisis that we are, currently under, we would think that the whole goal is to transition families into permanent housing. And so this is why we were very specific when we took on this project that we didn't want to operate it as a shelter.
Sure.
We wanted families to be in place and stay in place until they were able to transition to permanent housing. And so it was really important to differentiate that this was not a shelter. This was a home where people were going to stay until we found them a better permanent solution.
Sure. And again, absolutely appreciate this, but just for clarity for our listening public and everybody, that it's plausible that it could be years. It's plausible. 12 months and we don't have anything, so because there's a goal out there, you say, but fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
One thing for staff, I know there was the standard outreach for this application. Did we get any responses from neighbors, local community members, anything along that line?
Thank you. Good question. And I put in staff report, but I did not mention, well, I'll get to that second. To answer your question, there was one call from a nearby property that said that they were opposed to both requests. That was the communication received on this one.
Okay.
And then the applicant is part of, while the public participation plan was not required, there was door knocks done to neighbors and I believe outreach to the association across the street.
Perfect. Any other questions for staff or the applicant?
I did have a question for the applicant. Sorry. But I was just also wanted to clarify because the language talks about like winter time and that this would be used during the winter, which makes sense because that's the most necessary time for this. But I was just wanting to clarify, is it used throughout the year too? Because I'm sure people need housing in the summer as well. So just want to hear more about that.
Great question. So we originally purchased the home to run a substance use respite home. So for people, experiencing an opioid situation and not wanting to return back to their original point of the overdose. And so that was the intent of the home and when we purchased it, which we were approached by the county to do emergency family shelter. And so because we had that one house that wasn't fully operational and hadn't been started as the opioid home, we basically said that yes, that we would do it. So the answer to your question, and kind of took you around the block, but the answer is no. It is not only for winter. It started in the winter because that's when we were approached, and we understand that that permit would be able to be used again as a winter shelter emergency situation, but it also would be able to be used throughout the year.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Absolutely. Any other things?
Anything else for the applicant or staff? All right, with that, I'd be looking for a motion on this application.
Motion to approve the special use permit request to operate.
Public hearing?
Oh, I apologize. Not my first time running a meeting, but close to it. Let's go ahead and open the public hearing on this item as well. So anyone in the room or online. Bobby, what's the phone number for calling in? But yeah, we will open the public hearing for this application. 888-382-9556. 9556. 888-382-9556. Perfect. And we'll give it a moment on the online system as well.
First day jitters.
Oh yeah, totally. Nothing online? Perfect.
You have to ask if there's anyone in person.
Oh, there doesn't appear to be anyone in person. No one stepping up to the mic. Perfectly fine. No one on the phone as well. All right, seeing no applicants in person or no one coming to speak up in person or online, let's go ahead and close the public hearing for this application. Now we are looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the special use permit request to operate transitional residences at the dwellings in the duplex at 915 Washington Avenue.
Second.
Wonderful. Now we may discuss as a planning commission if you have thoughts or further clarifications. Roland, you made the motion if you'd like to start.
It just seems like a really important and valuable project. I want to thank the applicant, Gwendolyn. I want to thank you so much for coming out and speaking to us and for the work that you're doing in the community. I find it very moving and important and hard to do, and I see it and I appreciate you, and I think that if we can help make this a little bit easier, to make folks' lives a little bit easier, to give them a chance and resources they wouldn't otherwise have access to, I see no reason not to approve this.
Any other thoughts or comments? Yeah.
I'm not sure if the resident or whoever spoke out opposing the housing is anonymous, but I do encourage there to be some maybe encouragement, you know, with the neighbors to maybe be more in support of what you're doing, if possible.
All right. Any other thoughts? All right, I believe we are ready for a roll call vote then on the motion to approve.
Audette-Bauman?
Yes.
Bissonnette?
Yes.
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 Sandoval?
Yes.
Bias?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Yes. All right, with that, the motion and the application are approved. Moving on to the next application, this is a little bit of an unusual circumstance where we have same applicant right next door, very similar circumstances. I don't know if we want to go through the entire form again, but Bob, if you wanted to highlight any major differences between the two properties, I think that would be appreciated.
All right, excellent. I will kind of speed through, highlight differences, but I will read the decision criteria into the record. As you can see here, even though the house, you know, looks much more grand, this is the single-family dwelling one. I got a little mixed up time drafting it. It's on the corner of Race right next door. Same exact criteria there on the left. You see it right there at the intersection. That map right there is the existing land use. Here is the aerial photograph. It's kind of hard to see through the trees, but the house is in line with the one next door, and that porch wraps around three sides of the house there. Makes a really nice presence on that intersection. Here is the current land use of the properties. Here is the future land use of the properties. And we had that zoning map before, which I did not get on there, got mixed up. Here again is the view from the street. It is a larger property, as you can tell, by width. And here is, we're now in the back corner looking north up Race. You can see the existing driveway over there. There's two approaches, very similar to the other one. One of those old existing driveways seems to be serving its function well. And there's just another view of the rear yard. You can see that secondary rise next door I mentioned about. And again, there's a privacy fence and no obstructions there along either sidewalk. So it is a very similar property, maintained as a house, certified until December of 2027 at this one by the Housing Department. So getting to the decision criteria, they are very close. That the first one is that the first block of Washington, again, is live-work adjacent to this property. This part of the block includes a mixture of uses in non-residential buildings like the neighborhood association, a bar, and a store, and residential buildings. You have the RM15 zoning that extends north and eastward, making the physical change to the more residential setting on the street going east. The special review, use permit review considers the impacts on this and the surrounding properties. The RM15 zone district with no occupancy limit and varied residential housing types permitted anticipates a variety of residential uses, including more intense uses. The scale and location of this duplex with yards, sidewalks, provides a residential setting in which to provide the transitional home for its residents. Between the intensity of the live-work zoned area to the west and the surrounding RM15 zoning, the existing uses in this use demonstrate the higher impact uses to be anticipated or considered for special use. The use strikes the balance between availability to services and anticipated scale of occupancy and the use in the residential neighborhood this use extends into. There are no use standards for Chapter 4.2. Number 3, that the location and design of the proposed minimizes adverse impacts, including visual impacts of the proposed use on adjacent lands by 1, avoiding significant adverse impacts on surrounding lands regarding service delivery, parking and loading, odors, noise, glare, vibration, and it does not create a nuisance. 2, retaining to the greatest extent possible the natural features of the landscaping where they provide a barrier or buffer between the special use and adjoining lands. 3, locating buildings, structures, and entryways to minimize impact. And 4, providing the appropriate screening, fencing, landscaping, and setbacks. The dwelling is over a century old, and the property has established landscaping, fencing, and improvements. There's mature properties and shrubs along the frontage, and the appearance and layout maintain the residential character that match the other dwellings around it. The house is placed centrally on the lot, and there is no garage on this property. There's the existing privacy fence in the back, and there are the multi-unit homes to the east and non-residential uses in the other direction. The homes operated as a transitional residence maintain the residential character of the street, and off of Race there is a driveway and there's on-street parking which provides the rear yard and residents to use the yard. Two curb cuts served are as a paved and gravel driveway off of Race Street. The rear yard has a privacy fence. For residents without vehicles, there is an existing sidewalk and bus stop a block down on Portage Street. The home and yard are landscaped and maintain the scale and intensity of a single-family home. The proposed special use minimizes environmental impacts and conforms to all environmental protection standards. Again, it's a home. It only has cleaners and maybe chemicals. And a little nuance to that is those residential volumes aren't considered hazardous because they're in homes. 5, that there's adequate road capacity to serve the special use. This one has Race and Washington Street along it, plenty of access and road capacity in spades. That the proposed, and that there's also sidewalk and curb and gutter on those streets. Number 6, that the proposed special use is designed to ensure safe ingress and egress to the site and safe road conditions. There are 2 driveway access points off of Race with paved and a gravel driveway. There's access for vehicles to park on the street or if space is needed. The sidewalk network ensures access for pedestrians to the house. That there's adequate potable water, wastewater, solid waste, police, park, fire, and EMS facilities to serve the proposed special use. There are those existing facilities, and I didn't mention parks in the other one, but you have Reed Street Park just down the road on Portage there, which has the Ninja Warrior course. Number 7, that there's adequate potable Number 8, that the proposed special use is located designed to provide access onto the site for police, fire, and EMS services. There's a driveway and no front fencing on either frontage. The road is wide enough to respond to accommodating fire trucks, and a new fire hydrant is located in front of the house on Washington Street. That the proposed special use complies with the appropriate standards of Chapter 6 development standards. There are no development standards. And I'll even mention too, that new hydrant, you could tell all the lead line replacements happened on that street well, so some good infrastructure over there. Number 8, we already covered. Number 9, that the special use complies with the appropriate standards of Chapter 50. The design standards for this use comply with the development standards of 50. That looks to be a carryover. That's the wrong one. There are no special design standards. I'm going to read number 10 here. The proposed special use complies with all standards imposed on it by all applicable provisions on this ordinance, use, layout, and general development characteristics. The use does comply with all standards imposed on this, all other practical provisions of this ordinance. An existing dwelling with features, fences, driveways, and landscaping similar to this house provides a housing choice in a non-institutional setting with the support in place by Hope Through Navigation to assist the needs of residents to occupy this transitional residence. And similar there, staff is recommending approval for this special use for the dwelling at 921 Washington Avenue. And Gwendolyn, if you want to speak anything else to this, or do you feel you have it covered? You're welcome to.
I just have a couple of success things to share. If you would allow. So when we first, started, it was the death of winter. It was very, very important for us to get families into housing. This particular family came to us. She was 8.5 months pregnant. She was a pregnancy that had multiple complications. She had one child that was autistic, and then she had a significant other who was the father of the child that she was carrying. And she had some very significant medical conditions. They were living in a vehicle that was not in use, but it was being used for them to live in on a piece of property that was owned by a family member. So needless to say, we were very, very happy to have them come to the Hope Family Respite, and we were able to walk her and allow her to convalesce and to go through all of the things that she needed to go through. She had multiple appointments. She had to get her diabetes checked. She had gestational diabetes, and all of those things. And the biggest one of the greatest joys I think that we probably had out of this project is when she went into labor, and when she ended up having an emergency C-section, but that baby was born healthy. That baby was born in a dignified fashion, and the mom and the dad and the little baby brother were able to go back and forth to the hospital, visiting the mom, and then when she was released from the hospital, she was able to come back to the Hope Family Respite and able to recover from having obviously emergency C-section is kind of a big deal. And ultimately, we were able to get her into the Sugarloaf Project, which folks may know that I am the vice president of the County Housing Commission, and I spearheaded the Sugarloaf Modular Project. And so we had some empty modular homes out there that were absolutely perfect. And so we were able to transition that. We had a baby shower too, by the way. But we were able to set them up with just all of the things that they needed. And this is what, I may get emotional. I'm not even going to say I'm not going to get emotional, but this is the email that the dad sent to us. This program is the only program in the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan, that was there for me and my family when we needed help in our time of need. This program is exactly what the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan needs to more effectively help people in times of need, stabilize until they are able to help themselves. I personally bear witness to the positive effectiveness of this program and its ability to make a real difference in the lives of those fortunate enough to be placed in its program. All of the funding that has been given to this program, I bear witness that this program uses the grants and government funding to do exactly what their mission statement says and more. I cannot say the same for any other so-called program supposedly in place to help Kalamazoo County residents with similar needs. And I mean and stand by every word within this statement. Because of this program, me and my family are doing very well, because this program gave us reason to hope again. This program and all of the employees are very intelligent and compassionate human beings. This program deserves its just due and true recognition for the humanity and community service to its citizens of Kalamazoo County. So, thank you so much for your consideration.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, very similar to the first application, but if there's any other questions for the applicant or for the city staff, anybody off the top of your head? I assume the only neighborhood response we got was the one you mentioned earlier that was anonymous.
That is correct. The voicemail said both addresses, so they were against this request as well.
Makes sense.
And I did call back just to see if there was anything else today and gave them my contact info.
Okay, perfect. All right, any other questions from planning commissioners? All right, let's go ahead and go to a public hearing for this application. Either come up to the microphone, state your name, speak for up to 3 minutes on the application. There's also the call-in. The number again is 888-382-9556. That's 888-382-9556. Yeah, it was written down in previous sessions, but it went away. Seeing no in-person comments, anything on the phone lines? Oh.
I'm sorry. I did want to, my name is Gwendolyn Hooker. I am a Northside resident. I'm the CEO of Helping Other People Exceed Hope Through Navigation. I did want to just add to note, prior to this special use permit even being requested, we did knock doors in 5-block radius of our home, and we also did do an open house prior to us opening where people came in from the neighborhood and they actually got to walk through both of the houses and see them, ask any questions that we had. So one of the people I think that previously called once the notices went out, did call and have an issue with what we were doing, and then after so many weeks or whatever, they called back and said, you know what, they're doing a great job. We're in favor of the project. So there's always going to be a nuance or something. You know, we're not going to be able to satisfy everyone all the time, but we did, you know, make, you know, a lot of outreach, a lot of community engagement, really to get people. We know that we need buy-in. I know with the tiny house project, you know, we did tiny houses for justice impacted people, and so we had to lay the groundwork up front to make sure that people knew what we were doing and that they would not come down to City Hall during the time when we were trying to get something passed and throw a fit. And so we learned very early on to do the community engagement at the front end so you don't get a backlash at the end. And so I believe that, you know, we did exactly that. I also do have some copies of the emails that were sent, just FYI for your purpose.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Bobby, anything online? No. All right. Seeing no other public comments, we will go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to planning commissioners to make a motion.
Motion to approve the special use permit request to operate a transitional residence in the dwelling at 921 Washington Avenue.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Open the floor to discussion. Obviously very similar to the first one, but anything else that we want to get on the record?
Yeah, no, very similar to the first. I'll just speak briefly since I made the motion again. I just want to thank you for putting in this work and doing this outreach, helping people and your, you know, neighbors and folks in dire need at like their worst moments. I think when humans reach out to assist their fellow humans is society at its most beautiful. So I really appreciate the work that you've done and the fact that not only helping people through their lives, but helping bring life into this world is just wonderful. So thank you again, and yeah, I once again can't think of a single reason not to approve this.
I'll add, thank you again for putting this program together and echoing everyone's comments, but I'll add that the dignity you're providing to the residents is of utmost importance when you're providing a transitional service. It's not just a short-term solution, but it is an escalator to the next step. And so thank you for providing that with the dignity that you are offering.
Absolutely. All right, any other thoughts? Perfect. I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Audette-Bauman,
Yes.
Bissonnette,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Kostriva,
Yes.
Sandoval,
Yes.
Vias,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
and Curtis.
Yes. All right, the application is approved. Thank you all very much for your time. Moving on to the next application, a special use permit request to develop a gas station with a convenience store at 3810 East Cork Street.
All right, thank you again, Chair Curtis. The third and final request here is to develop a gas station. And what you see here is the back of the property looking north, former restaurant there, former The Crew restaurant. So to get into this one, the gas stations in the CC zone district require a special use permit, hence why it's in front of the body here today. We had a similar request, I believe, in December at Riverview and Gull. QuikTrip is seeking to demolish the existing site and parking lot and build from the ground up a new gas station and convenience store. The existing approaches on this site are going to remain. This is, even though there's a lot of road frontage, there's a lot of controlled access. Controlled access like a freeway, there's only one way on or off, and that stretch of Cork similarly. So this access is on the west there, which is a private road. So there's not any changes to the road, but we do have the change of activity, obviously. And they're maintaining those connections to the road. This will, that is a type 1 on my part, that should say a decrease of impervious coverage from the existing because it's almost complete now and the new site is below the maximum permitted by our current code. And this one, this project had a visit to the Zoning Board of Appeals, I believe in January. As a reminder, the City of Kalamazoo permits a maximum of parking, not a minimum. And this request, they sought 49 parking spaces and that was granted. We're finding usually the requests for variances are occurring on our more suburban, auto-oriented parts of the community. To dig into the site here is the large site there. You can see the traffic circle, which is the northern circle of the interchange of Sprinkle. We have the massive Sprinkle Road interchange, and you see a lot of those auto service businesses as you come into the city on Cork there. There's a hotel under construction, enterprise, and food restaurants. Very matching of the CC zone district. Here is the current zoning. You can see the collection of CC there, the zoning reflecting the land use changes. The gray on the left side of the screen is manufacturing zoning in the city of Kalamazoo. Those are just county parcels to the east because everything to the east is Comstock Township. Sprinkle is the eastern border of the city of Kalamazoo. Here is the future land use category. Looking good there, not much going on different. And then some photographs of the site. I figure a lot of us have probably commuted or driven past here. This is looking on Sprinkle back towards the building, not Cork Street. I didn't catch the hotel there. Now this is looking from Cork Street southbound, or south. You can see Sprinkle Road there on the left. You get an idea of the front of the building. And then I grabbed one more picture from the back corner to just give the scale of the site. I don't know exactly how long the building's been vacant, but there's not much going on there. Access is restricted, and I think they're just waiting to see if there's approvals to move it forward. So getting into the special use decision criteria on this one, and we have the applicant here who will give a presentation as well. So the first decision criteria, that the proposed special use is appropriate for its proposed location and compatible with the character surrounding land uses. This location is adjacent to a large capacity freeway interchange, which utilizes a traffic circle to manage traffic flows. The site and all adjacent are auto-oriented businesses in use and scale. This is a former restaurant that would be repurposed into a gas station. The applicant has provided a traffic study, which is included in the staff report and will be made available to the Site Plan Review Committee. This study posits the build and no build scenarios for this use today and projected out to 2031. The new use is compatible and a logical use for this location with the benefit of a modern site layout and a reduction of unnecessary paved surfaces on the existing site. The proposal reflects the ongoing modernization and reinvestment of existing auto-oriented uses in this interchange. Starting to see some of those other changes around here as buildings get redeveloped. The proposed special use complies with 50-4.4 use standards of the zoning ordinance, and I wanted to cover those because they are for gas stations, and I didn't write them in there. And those are that a gas station requires a special use permit, gas stations are not permitted in Live Work 2, and that 3, sale of packaged liquor at gas stations is permitted but must adhere to the development standards required for the packaged liquor use. Refer to 50.4-4C10, and that is a half-mile separation from those uses. Staff did not find those uses. There's a gas station to the south. It exceeded, I believe, by a couple hundred feet. It was close to the standard. The location design of the proposed minimizes adverse effects, including visual impacts of the proposed use on adjacent lands by avoiding significant impacts on surrounding land use regarding service delivery, parking and loading, odors, noise, glare, vibration, and does not create a nuisance. 2, retaining to the greatest extent possible the natural features and landscaping where they provide a barrier or buffer between the proposed special uses in adjoining lands. And 3, locating buildings, structures, and entryways to minimize impact. And 4, providing appropriate screening, fencing, landscaping, and setbacks. With a full redevelopment of the site and 2 street frontages, the landscaping plan provided by the applicant demonstrates the ability to provide the necessary screening for the road frontage, aesthetics, and coverage. With no residential or low impact uses adjacent, there's no property screening requirements by the zoning ordinance. The dumpster has adequate screening, and the layout of the new use is logical and orderly with adequate lanes and maneuvering space. The newly redeveloped site will provide more green space plantings and improvements for the new use with the replacement of the oversized parking lot, which has an out-of-date storm management system. Number 4, that the proposed special use minimizes environmental impacts and conforms to all relevant environmental protection standards on this ordinance or any other state or federal laws. Fuel storage, hazardous material containment, and chemical handling requirements will be regulated by the state of Michigan. Compliance review with applicable local, state, and federal standards will be verified through the site plan review process and the building permit process. The new site layout will align with the current standards for treatment of waters and other natural drainage. Details of design, capacity, and processing of the regulatory documents occur through the site plan review process if approved. The applicant has provided a company sustainability report to highlight their commitment to sustainability and stewardship of their properties in the community where they operate. That there is adequate road capacity available to serve this special use. The use is adjacent to a busy interchange and traffic circle. The new use utilizes the existing private easements, which coordinates the access for use. On the plans in there, it's labeled as Old Cork Street. The access road to the east of the site and exits onto East Cork Street. There's no proposed changes to the approaches at this time to East Cork Street, and the applicant has a traffic impact analysis. The analysis predicts 4,114 trips a day from this location, and it will be referenced in the site plan review and any supporting recommendation from the city traffic engineer, who is a member of the site plan review committee. With the adjacent highway being an MDOT highway, the site plan review committee can coordinate with MDOT during the site plan review to ensure that the agency's alignment is in place before construction starts. For the special use permit review, the traffic impact analysis will inform the final approach and access design during site plan review. And the applicant team has already been in contact with the city's traffic team, and I had that feedback. 6, the proposed special use is designed to ensure safe ingress and egress onto the site and safe road conditions around the site. Staff is supportive of the use of the easement roadway on the west side of the property. It is west, instead of direct access to Cork or Sprinkle Road. The applicant has provided a traffic impact analysis, which will support their site design and site plan review and provide guidance for review to the city planning and traffic staff when evaluating the site plan before construction if the special use permit is approved. That there's adequate water, wastewater, solid waste, park, police, fire, EMS service to propose a special use. There is adequate capacity in this vicinity to support this use and available public safety facilities to respond in the event of an emergency. Number 8, that the proposed special use is located and designed so that adequate access onto the site is provided for fire, police, and EMS service. There is adequate capacity in this vicinity to support this use and available public safety facilities to respond to an emergency. And the fire marshal is a reviewer and approver of the site plan review committee, and public safety reviews the plans in great detail there. 9, the proposed special use complies with the appropriate standards of 50-4.412, general development standards, and the design standards for this use comply with the development standards of 50-4-412. And that the proposed special use complies with all standards imposed on it by all applicable provisions of this ordinance for use, layout, and general development characteristics. The proposed special use complies with all standards imposed by this ordinance, including building setback, canopy location, parking count, impervious coverage, packaged liquor sale separation, and the ability to comply with the performance and operation standards associated with the special use. QuickTrip has also provided a sustainability report to highlight its efforts in support of the applicant. And the last thing I will add beyond the decision criteria is, remember this was on the March agenda, which didn't occur. About 2 weeks ago, the applicant who will give a presentation here, Mr. Longoria, said that leadership of QuickTrip was trying to make a call on a decision to orient the building towards Cork Street to the west. I referenced that in the staff report, and they did provide a layout of what that would look like, and it doesn't really change anything. I mean, it does change the building, but all of those development standards, it doesn't throw something off, and I was of the opinion that a nuance like that could be determined by the site plan review committee. And in a lot of ways, there's a lot of wiggle room to comply, and everything on there, it lines up. I don't think anything really changed besides the building and then the sidewalk and stuff, the parking layout and all that. Canopy was in the same spot. So I wanted to make you guys aware of that. And as I said, Gabriel Longoria is here to give a presentation on behalf of QuickTrip.
Thanks, Bobby.
I'll get your... I think I got my glasses on.
Longoria, and I'm a real estate project manager for QuickTrip Corporation. My address is 50 South Main Street, Suite 200 in Naperville, Illinois. That is where we're based out of, but we are looking to expand into Michigan. There is no QuickTrip in Michigan right now, so I thought I'd give a little background on who we are. QuickTrip started in 1958 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and over the past 70 years of development and growth, we've expanded into 22 states, and we have over 1,200 stores open nationwide, and we employ over 35,000 people. A few things about us: we have been listed in the Fortune's list and the Forbes list of one of the best companies to work for, privately and publicly. And each of our locations, on average, will generate $1.3 million in state and local taxes. And we also contribute 5% of our profits annually to charitable organizations like Folds of Honor and United Way. And then they are then able to disperse that money into the areas in which they operate. Last year, that equated to $50 million. QuickTrip is also proud to say we've never laid off a single employee. I've worked with the company for over 7 years, and I stayed with them even throughout COVID. We were deemed very important, I guess, and so they let us keep our jobs, and that was a really big thing. Our mission is to provide opportunities for employees to grow and succeed. Like I said, I've been with QuickTrip for over 7 years. I started as a part-time clerk, making food or cleaning the floors, wiping the counters. Back in 2019, I was still in high school, and I decided to go to college, and then I ended up staying with QuickTrip because I love the company. And they gave me an opportunity to come out here to the Midwest region and start building some stores. We do like to promote from within. Just like me, 90% of our employees started their career with QuickTrip. We do offer a lot of different employee programs like tuition reimbursement, daycare assistance, scholarships, and we even have an employee disaster fund. We have a lot of convenient things that come with our company. The biggest thing I think is our QuickTrip app. Something new to me whenever I moved out to Illinois from Texas. There's no way you can get free air. That is just not a thing. I don't know if that's a thing here in Michigan, but we offer free air, which is very important, especially during the cold months of the year. And we also will deliver through the mobile app. You can order from our kitchens, or you can order from the check stand. We will have an employee go grab you a Coke if you want it, or cookies, a bag of chips, and we can run it out to you if you're on site. Store security is one of the biggest things for QuickTrip, not only for the employees, but also for our customers. Each employee is tasked with wearing a personal protection device. Kind of looks like a pager. They just clip it on their belt loop. And these personal protection devices will send a signal if activated manually, or if they're on their side for a couple of seconds. It'll notify our service center in Tulsa, and then it's also trackable via GPS. Our parking lots have 360-degree coverage by way of camera and lighting, and we also establish great relationships with our local police departments. I myself worked at a store in San Antonio, Texas, that was right next to a police station, and I made friends with 5 or 6 police officers that I saw almost on the daily. And not only did that make me and my employees feel safe, but it also made our customers feel safer. We do also have 24/7 surveillance. So even if we have 2 centers, so even if our center in Tulsa was to go down, we would still have our backup center in Dallas that would keep it running. That way we have somebody watching at all times. The service center can access the cameras, audio and video, and they can then assess the situation. And they can also call local enforcement if needed. Here's just a little depiction of what our typical store looks like. Every store now has 196 cameras inside and outside. There are no spaces on our property that are not caught by a camera. And as you can see, there's a lot of different areas that are covered by 3, 4, 5 cameras. One of the biggest things that QuickTrip is moving into is our kitchens. We've had them open for well over a decade now, but we're pushing more and more on that. And so we offer things like pizzas, sub sandwiches, brisket sandwiches, and tacos. My favorite thing to get is the grilled cheese BLT. It's pretty good. Bobby did a great job explaining our project. I just wanted to hit on a couple things. This is our current site, an aerial view, and it's right now vacant. And there is 95% impervious coverage, which is not compliant. We are bringing that down to about 56%, which is more than compliant. There's also currently 219 parking spaces, and we're bringing that down to 49. We are allotted 40 here, but the zoning board did grant us a variance to have 49 parking spaces. Here is a site plan. It's going to come with 16 filling stations, which you can see on the left, and then our Gen 4 store on the right. And then we have 2 full accesses proposed on what would be called Old Cork Street, but it is just a private access. I wanted to make note of our landscaping. The current use with 95% impervious coverage hardly allows for landscaping, and so us bringing that down to 56%, you can really see how much more green space there's going to be. And then we also do provide buffering along Sprinkle and East Cork Street with shrubs. This is what the interior of the store looks like. There's going to be a vestibule entrance at the very bottom of this picture you can see. And then on the left side is where we have 3 points of sale. And then our employees are able to help on both sides, so we can be helping 6 customers at a time. We also have our kitchen on the top left, and then the whole top row is actually back storage space. We do have 8 restrooms to the right, and the 4 on the bottom are ADA compliant, and the 4 on the top are just normal, and they are unisex. This is our standard Gen 4 building elevation and offers a more modern look, and it has very high quality tile and brick. And then this is an elevation of our gas canopy. It'll be a double stack 8 to where we can service 8 pedestrian vehicles at once, or excuse me, 16 vehicles at once. And then I had our design team put together a couple of renderings of what our site would look like. So this is from the southmost access on the private access easement. And it's looking at the front of the store, which right now the store is on the plan orienting to the west. And this is from East Cork Street approaching the roundabout. And then to the bottom right corner, you can see that'll be where our access is on that private access easement. Here's another one further back from that first picture that I showed you. And then this is in line with the store and gas canopy from East Cork Street. And then we did talk to Arby's and Baymont Inn, as we have a sign easement, or the previous use had a sign easement with them, and we are working with them, and they, to my knowledge, have already signed off on the pole sign that you can see to the left there. I also have I brought my traffic engineer, Robert Matko from CESO, if you have any concerns regarding access or traffic. And we're humbly requesting approval of our special use application, and we're here to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Perfect, thank you. Any question for either city staff or the applicant at this time?
Just a quick comment. This is a compliment. In my homework on you guys, you're in competition for the cleanest bathrooms and most well-maintained bathrooms in America. I'm sure you know that.
We're number 1.
Well, I know it's a competitive industry, but we all know the downside out there. So that was pretty impressive in my homework that I gave myself.
Just to clarify again, from the renderings, is the entrance only on Cork Street, or the planned entrance?
So there are 2 full accesses being proposed. Here, I'll show you this plan right here. So if you look at the bottom of this plan, there is going to be 2 full accesses that are proposed on that private easement. So we will not be touching access directly from East Cork Street or from Sprinkle Road. So this is actually a much more safer approach, both ingress and egress on the site.
Go for it.
Given the chosen location, could you speak on why you guys decided not to truck or trailer parking?
Really, it's not possible. This site is not only shaped kind of weird, but it's not big enough for us to be able to put truck parking without compromising the standards, the design standards, not only by QuickTrip but also the city of Kalamazoo.
I had a couple questions for Bobby. First of all, standard question, every application, did we get any responses to the reach out to the neighboring properties?
There was no public feedback
Okay.
received on this one, no.
And then second, with the access coming off of the private easement to the west, that is part of a parcel owned by a different owner. Is there like a written in stone easement that is allowing access to this property? Or is that something that potentially could be in flux in the future, in which case there would have to be reworked access to the site?
No, this is a very, very solid easement. It is it's very It's tied to the properties that are adjacent to it, and it's very well like locked in. There's a lot of strange easements in the city of Kalamazoo. This one has excellent title in my experience.
Okay.
I know with the special use permit that we're going to be voting on, you know, our charge is to decide whether or not a gas station is an appropriate use of this parcel of land. So I know it's fun to get wrapped up in the site plan here, but I do want to draw our attention back to this is a restaurant parcel that is being, the request is to use it as a gas station. And so I want to ask staff actually, and possibly also the applicant, if you have considered or what your thoughts are on the density of gas stations in this area, or possibly redundancy. Just a quick Google search showed that there are 3 gas stations within 1 mile right there on Sprinkle Road. So I'd love for you to speak on that as well.
Yep, that is a great question, and one of our new planning commissioners' orientation today posed a similar question, and I'll give the same answer. That is, as I explained it, the question would be, does that use have a separation by the City of Kalamazoo zoning ordinance? And a fueling station does not have a separation. And I didn't go into the weeds of, we have Comstock next door and whether the code applies to that or not. But you're correct, there are a series of gas stations in this vicinity. So first, there is not a limitation by the zoning ordinance in a CC zone district if the special use permit. You could argue the consideration of the special use permit itself takes that into account. But there is a separation, as mentioned, to the component if it sells beer and liquor. And this one has the ability, there is a half-mile separation, and that is a use, and we also include very specifically beer and liquor at a gas station. So that is here, and that is an example of a separation that does exist. But there, by the code, there is not. A staff perspective from that, this is a massive auto-oriented corridor on Sprinkle North-South in Kalamazoo County and I-94. So if there's a place to expect them, it would be there. I don't know if you want to say anything there, Gabriel.
I'd also like to add, I don't speak ill of anybody else, but I have fully bought into QuikTrip, and I hope you all do as well. QuikTrip is not just another gas station. Our motto is, our slogan is more than a gas station. We may have a gas canopy here, but we are also focusing very heavily on in-store sales. That is also where we project most of our, a majority of our sales at every single store. It's always about not the gas. It's always about what's inside, and we're constantly making changes. This Gen 4 is very brand new. There's still not one that is open yet anywhere in the nation. There is one, hopefully, comes out early May in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But it is a very, very new site, and we are expecting a lot of great things, especially off of the past years with our Gen 3 and what it did inside.
Thanks to both of you.
Any other questions, city staff or applicant? Okay, and we can revisit after the public hearing if you think it's someone else. With that, I think we are ready to open the public hearing on this issue. So please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, take a moment, and there's also the online call-in, which is 888-382-9556.
Hello, my name is Logan. I've never been in one of these. This is cool. I moved here from Atlanta, and we'd go to QT all the time. When I worked there, I work at a trucking company one street up now. So when he said it's more than a gas station, it kind of is. It was like kind of a nice place to catch a break and hang out, and good food. Nice place to visit, honestly, between shifts. I worked all kinds of shifts in Atlanta and then moved up here. So I support it, and the only thing I worry about is that left turn back onto Cork Street from the roundabout. I don't know if it's like a only right turn out of there. That's the only thing I worry about, because people fly off that exit. I mean, they don't touch that brake coming off the exit, hitting the roundabout. So other than that, it's going to be great for that area. There's a lot of issues with that area, and then Enterprise came in there, Avid, so these hotels are cleaning it up, but this will be really nice for the whole area. So that's all I got. My name's Logan. What else did you need to know?
Last name if you mind, but no worries.
Logan Herber. I work one street up. I live in Portage. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Bobby. Anyone on the online? No. All right, seeing no other public comment in the room or online, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for this application, and we'll turn it over to the planning commissioners to make a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the special use permit request to develop a gas station with a convenience store at 3810 East Cork Street.
Support.
All right. Any discussion to be had?
I would just like to thank the applicant for such a thorough presentation, and I really appreciate that while you were here for a very specific and narrow purpose, you told us a little bit about the company, being a new company to Michigan. It was really helpful to get a better understanding of what the end result is going to be, and not just be narrowly focused on the special use permit, which is actually what we're deciding. So thank you, and great job.
And the traffic study, also very helpful, because obviously being right off the highway, right next to a roundabout, off of a private easement, it calls into question a lot of traffic concerns, and it's good to see that in front of us before we even have to bring into question those sorts of things. Any other comments? Questions, concerns? All righty. With that, I think we're ready for a voice vote.
Audette-Bauman,
Yes.
Bissonnette,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Kostreva,
Yes.
Sandoval,
Yes.
Vyas,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
and Curtis.
Yes. All right. With that, the application special use permit request to develop a gas station with a convenience store at 3810 East Cork Street is approved. Going back to our agenda then, we will jump to discussions and action items. Bobby, anything on that front?
No other updates besides or action items besides the update I gave to the conference.
Perfect. Then on to the city planners report.
There is not a city planners report today.
All right. With that, we got a copy of the site plan list. If anybody has any questions about that, it's at the back of your packet. You can direct those towards Bobby. Otherwise, pretty standard stuff. Moving on to public comment on non-agenda items. So these are not about the applications we heard today. Anything else that is not on the agenda, we can take another series of public comments. Feel free to come up to the microphone or call in at 888-382-9556, opening the public hearing on non-agenda items. Seeing the public has cleared out of the chamber itself, we'll just wait on verification that there's nothing online. Perfect, thank you. All righty, we'll close the public hearing on non-agenda items and move on to the City Commission liaison comments. Commissioner Pradell.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of my colleagues on the commission, I want to congratulate our new officers elected tonight and our new commissioners, one returner, but also just really excited to see the group grow, and I think this is a really solid group. I'm really looking forward to it. If the 3 new commissioners would stick around, I'd love to get a picture for you behind your new nameplate. That would be fantastic. I did want to take an opportunity just to mention, for those who are new, I really try my best in this role to be to every meeting I can. In doing so, I like to report back about the action of the City Commission related to your recommendations. And likewise, I like to go back to the commission and make sure to share your input and recommendations to them. So I will continue to do my best to do that. If I can in any way better serve as a liaison between the commission and yourself, please let me know. I did want to make sure to elevate again because of the importance of it. If you did not make it to one of our Imagine Kalamazoo 2035 Design It meetings in one of our neighborhoods, they were fantastic, and there's still an opportunity to engage. So if you weren't able to attend, or if you just thought of other ways that you want to provide input, if you go to kalamazooCity.org/IK2035, you can't miss the online survey at the top. And they tried their best to emulate a lot of the activities and exercises from the in-person meetings with the online survey. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, please do. Please help us spread the word as planning commissioners, and I encourage the public to take advantage of that before the opportunity ends. So anyways, hope you all have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And then before we adjourn, we'll have planning commissioner comments. Anybody else have anything they want to get out there in front of your fellow commissioners or the public at large? Any announcements, discussions?
I had one thing real quick about Imagine Kalamazoo. I actually had a local business owner, an old friend of mine, ask me today about those meetings, and I was wondering, I know the end of the month is when the downtown Imagine Kalamazoo meetings are happening, right? But I looked on the website and I couldn't find a location.
I can follow up with you. I do not know that information standing here.
Okay, I would love that. Also, I would like to say for Commissioner Pradell, I never got a picture in front of my new plaque when I came in the middle of a term, so,
What thin skin?
But no, congratulations.
For thin-skinned people.
But no, congratulations and welcome to our new commissioners. It was very nice speaking to you all over our Zoom panel interview subcommittee, and I look forward to serving alongside all of you.
Well done, Mitchell. It sounded like it wasn't your first time doing this.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, because I didn't want to do it. And congratulations to Roland and Michelle, too, on your new roles. And also, welcome new commissioners. Glad to have you here.
Perfect. Well, with no other comments, we will adjourn the normal meeting of the Kalamazoo City Planning Commission on Wednesday, April 8th.
Great. Bob?
Can I get a photo?
Quietly, as quietly as a planner, I like that roundabout.
Can I get a picture of you? Yeah. Well, everybody, and I'll try to get one of each individual.
I can move either way.
Just, they don't do this.